This is Fieldsports Channel News. If you're offered a Webley Nemesis combo air rifle from a private seller, it may be stolen. Thieves are thought to be using a WhatsApp group to sell 600 of the newly launched Nemesis air guns that they took from a lorry in a lay-by. The guns were in transit last week from Southampton to Webley's warehouse in the Midlands when thieves swiped them. Since then, the stolen air guns have been surfacing on social media. One new owner of a Nemesis combo walked into a Highland Outdoors dealer asking to buy CO2 for it. Staff passed his details to police. The easiest way to spot the stolen guns is that they come fitted with a Webley scope and moderator. A falconer in Scotland has launched a petition against a government law aiming to protect mountain hares. Barry Blyther of Elite Falconry says the legislation effectively makes activities with eagles up in mountains illegal, at odds with UNESCO, which recognises falconry as an activity of cultural human heritage. If upheld, birds could be consigned to aviaries for the rest of their long lives. The Mountain Hare Bill was sneaked into Parliament at the last minute of a session last year, denying MSPs the chance to debate it properly or hear expert opinions. The petition means MSPs will discuss the issue after the Scottish elections in May. Barry says the hare law means he could break the law if he allowed his eagle to behave like an eagle.
People will say, go up into the mountains and fly anyway, just don't hunt game. It's an eagle. That's what it's up there doing. It doesn't fly for fun. It flies because it's just a method of movement that enables it to catch game. So I'll be flying my eagle around on a lovely estate one day, a hare moves, it falls out the sky, catches it. Even if I didn't flush it and it wasn't intentional, I'm going to jail, metaphorically. I've just committed a crime under the Wildlife and Countryside Act.
Anglers in Kent have won their battle against a wildlife trust that wanted to kick them off a reserve. We highlighted Bromley and District Angling Society's cause a couple of weeks ago. Kent Wildlife Trust demanded the group stop angling at Sevenoaks Wildlife Reserve, but gave no reason why, other than it was part of its Wilder Kent plans, which include revamping its visitor centre and installing a number plate recognition car park system. After a meeting with BDAS and the Angling Trust, Kent Wildlife Trust agreed to allow anglers to stay. Dennis Puttock of BDAS said the group look forward to working closely with the KWT to forge a long-term plan for the benefit of nature conservation. The League Against Cruel Sports is celebrating survey results it claims shows that most people in Northern Ireland want hunting with dogs banned. LAC says more than 18,000 people, or 78% of those who filled in its Survey Monkey poll, say they support a ban. But Countryside Alliance Ireland points out that the survey is open to anyone around the world, meaning it's inviting people from other countries to influence Northern Ireland's policies. There is no way of properly identifying those who completed the survey, the result of which was the opposite of two separate independent polls which showed widespread support for hunting. The Alliance says the impact of a ban would go beyond hunting and affect gun dog owners, farmers and wildlife managers.
People from Australia, we had people in America, we had somebody picked it up and shared it in Munich, we had somebody in the Netherlands. So is it really representing the views of the people of Northern Ireland? You know, these people are not going to be affected by this. It's going to be our rural communities, it's going to be our vets, it's going to be our huntsmen, it's going to be the feed people, it's going to be the point-to-point racing. All these people will now be facing an uncertainty. Will they be able to continue?
Game Meat March is back. The movement to encourage shooters and hunters to clear out their freezers and eat meat in March promotes the benefit of game and raises awareness of a sustainable, environmentally friendly source of meat. Go to Game Meat March on Instagram for recipes and discounts. Thanks to Steve Kearney for the reminder. Carrie Simons has launched a bid to rescue a lion from an Iranian zoo. The Asiatic lion in Tehran Zoo has a respiratory disease, and Ms. Simons says the only way to save it is to rescue the animal. She's unclear what rescuing means in this case, as 2 lion cubs have died in her own zoo, Port Lympne in Kent, since early January. Denmark has rejected plans by the EU to ban hunting and shooting in protected areas. The European Commission lumped field sports with mining in its 2030 biodiversity strategy, which aims to make 30% of the EU protected in 9 years' time. This has outraged hunters and fishers. Denmark's Environment Minister Lee Wormelin reassured them by saying the EC does not have the authority to ban hunting on Danish soil. Shooters in Sweden have already been up in arms about an EU lead ban that would not allow them to carry lead rifle ammunition near water. More Germans are turning to hunting for their food as an alternative to plastic-wrapped supermarket meat. Paranoia about suggestions the source of coronavirus was meat from markets is making people take food sourcing into their own hands, with a relatively large increase in hunting licence applications. The National Hunting Federation says 19,000 people applied for permits last year and 80% were successful, twice as many as 10 years ago. Last week we highlighted the problem of too many bears in Slovakia. This time it's the USA. According to the National Geographic, America's grizzly population is out of control. The bears have been expanding their range in Montana, Idaho and Wyoming to places they haven't been seen in more than 100 years, and encounters with humans are increasing. Last summer saw a spike in attacks, especially as inexperienced campers flooded the great outdoors to escape coronavirus lockdowns. In the 1970s, state grizzly populations were in their hundreds. Now Alaska alone has 30,000. The Fish and Wildlife Service has twice in the past 13 years tried to take the species off the protected list, but failed due to lawsuits from conservation groups. Australia is cracking down on fallow deer numbers. In a move that angers local sports hunters, Parks Victoria is closing off Australian national parks so it can massacre the animals in order to save native wildlife. Meanwhile, farmers say they're shooting thousands of non-native deer a year with little impact, as hundreds continue to descend on their paddocks every night. They're calling for trials of a feed container that allows deer access while excluding native animals, which they can load with 1080 poison. Shooters plan to use the census to get extra protection for hunting and shooting sports. Launched in 2003, the Free Church of Country Sports is back. After vegans successfully persuaded the courts in England that their lifestyle choice is a religion, a Facebook group has resurrected the Free Church of Country Sports. If they can get 8,000 people to name that as their religion on the 2021 census, they'll be able to claim the same protections for hunting and shooting sports as other religions.
On Action Against Antis, there's about 10 or 12, well, there's 12 of us that are in an admin group. And one of the guys said, what about this church of, well, he said the Free Church of Fieldsports at the time. So what? And I said, what about it? He said, well, why didn't we get that up and running again?
And finally, the UK has had its fair share of freezing winter weather, but nothing has prompted people to travel by ice. Instagram user Outdoor Channel TV posted this cool video of an angler making his way downstream in style. Thanks to Per Holmseth for that one. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.